Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Wealth Boot Camp. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today is a story that you might have seen in the media about former NBA player Vin Baker. Vin was a very good player when he played in the NBA. He made the All-Star team 4 times. He was off the chain in terms of his athletic ability. But unfortunately, his money management skills left a few things to be desired. He ended up going broke and he's now working at the local Starbucks up in his hometown of, I think he's from Rhode Island, if I'm not mistaken. And this story was obviously sad, heartbreaking. I remember when Vin was in the NBA. I remember he had trouble with alcohol, and he struggled a little bit, in the league in terms of personal decisions, personal situations that he put himself into. But throughout the course of his career, he made a lot of money. He made $100 million, and that's a lot of money to make and still go broke. And so one of the things I really wanted to jump into is this. Of course, I have concerns about Vin as a black man. I didn't understand why Starbucks, the Starbucks former Starbucks CEO, I think his last name is Schultz, helped Vin out by letting him work in a local Starbucks, but didn't help him out by putting him in the front office of an NBA team or let him do something like that. But that's a whole nother conversation about just general black male exploitation that occurs in collegiate and professional sports. But sometimes even though other people are always out to exploit you, sometimes you kind of sign up for the exploitation. Sometimes exploitation is it requires some degree of teamwork between you and the person that is exploiting you. Now, here's what I want to go into real quick in terms of just the sheer absurdity of Van making this kind of money and going broke. $100 million, having that kind of money and having that money go out of your hands, that is just a financial tragedy of epic proportions. That's the kind of money that shouldn't just take care of you for the rest of your life. That's the kind of money that should take care of you, everybody you love, and everybody they love, and everybody they give birth to, and their great grandchildren, great grandchildren, great grandchildren for the next 300 years. You understand? If wealth is managed properly, wealth is capital. Capital is supposed to grow in value over time. That's why when you see very wealthy families, they are very, very careful about making sure that each generation understands the value of the capital, how to manage the capital, how to be responsible with the capital. They've got a team of financial advisors. They have trust funds set up to protect the wealth so that one person can't just blow it all and screw everything up for the family. You understand? So when you really think about just what happened here, this isn't just a tragedy for Vin Baker. This is a tragedy for his children, his grandchildren, and his great grandchildren, all of whom could have benefited from this money. Because when you get money of that, just of that magnitude, what's supposed to happen is that money is supposed to work for you. It's almost like having a team of employees that are all out hustling for you, bringing in money. I'll give you a good example. Mark Zuckerberg, now he's worth far more than 100 million. He's worth about $34 billion. A lot of people don't understand this, but Mark Zuckerberg, by not even working with his money working for him, he makes more money in about 4 days than LeBron James makes in an entire season. He'll make more money in about 4 months than LeBron James will make in his entire career. You understand? So the fact is that this kind of financial irresponsibility, this kind of financial craziness, it should bother everybody because you have to work really, really hard to waste $100 million. I mean, you've just got to be beyond financially sloppy. You have to be financially self-destructive. It's almost like finding a way to chop a rock in little pieces. You got to hammer hard to break that rock into little pieces because that rock is not meant to be chopped up like that. $100 million is not meant to be wasted. It's very hard to do that. So let me just give you a quick layout in terms of a very simple approach. Now, this is not rocket science. I'm not going to lay out no heavy financial concepts to you. I could give you some advanced stuff. I mean, that's some of the stuff we talk about in the boot camp and all that, but I'm not going to even go into this. I'm going to give you a very simple way that we could guarantee that no NBA player would ever go broke, even if they spent money like an idiot. Look, imagine you have an NBA player who's going to make $8 million a year. Well, and let's assume his career is going to be 10 years. $8 million is not on the low end of NBA salaries, but it's not on the high end either. There are guys that make a whole lot more money, especially when you throw in endorsements and all these other opportunities that should come with being a person of that stature at that income level. Not only are you making a lot of money from your team, but you should be at some point getting endorsements. You should at some point have investments that are making money for you. You should at some point have relationships with other people that will allow you to make more money. Money should breed more money. It shouldn't just be a matter of me just getting a little paycheck from the man and being a high paid employee and then going broke as soon as the man stops sending me money. That's not how money's supposed to work. A good financial advisor will tell you that. So imagine if this player makes $8 million a year. Okay, cool. So you make $8 million a year, it's about $666,000 a month. Now, let's assume that this player just saves 10% of that income. Now I know that that's pre-tax income and taxes are going to chop away at that. But if they take out that bottom 10% and they put aside $67,000 a month, which would still leave them about $600,000 a month. Let's say the IRS takes 350, something like that every month or whatever. The managers and all these little vultures and leeches and all these other people that are coming along taking their money, these little Harvard educated agents and managers and attorneys, all of whom are waiting for these young brothers to come into the league and make all this money so they can find a way to exploit them, because it's not a coincidence that many of our most prominent, most capable black athletes are left severely uneducated. A fool and his money will always part ways. Never ever be a fool. The most valuable thing a black man can have in America is his education. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. So all these vultures come along. The vultures take their cut. So let's say that after the vultures take their cut, there's 350 left. You take out 66 off the top. So you got between $250,000 to $300,000 a month. Now let's think about that. That's $250,000 a month that you have that you can do whatever you want with. You go to the club, throw it in the air, you can make it rain, you can go buy your Bentleys, you can get you a garage full of stupid cars and spend your money in Gucci and Prada and all these other European brands that don't want to hire black people. You can do all of that stupid stuff if you want to. You can just be an absolute fool with the rest of your money. But you put aside that $67,000 a month, you put it into an investment portfolio. Now, let's say that you do that consistently. You go to your mama, you go to somebody that you trust, your Uncle Willie, your sister, your investment advisor, whoever, and you say, look, every month you're going to take $67,000 or 10% of my income out of my check. I can't touch it. You have legal rights to that money. I have to pay you like a bill. You are my first bill that I get before I get a mortgage or car note and all the other things that might leave me broke. So that's your first bill, $67,000 a month, go into this account. Now, they take this money, they put it into a mutual fund that has average risk level for the stock market. So they'll know what to do. The good financial advisors will know how to put your money into a diversified portfolio, a mutual fund, something like that. Just tell them to do that. Ask them to watch this video. If you're an NBA player or an NBA player's mama or somebody who wants the best for their child, tell them to just put it in a diversified portfolio with an average risk level that matches that of the stock market. Let's assume that over that decade that plays in the NBA, so he has a reasonably long career, but not too long, right? 10 years. 10 years is not quite a really long career, but it's not a short career either, right? So he does 10 years in the NBA, makes $8 million a year, doesn't get any pay raises, which is another very conservative assumption because he should get pay raises, right? But he makes $8 million a year for 10 years, $80 million a year, or $80 million total. 10%, that's 67,000 a month, boom, 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 being put into that account. It's being invested in the portfolio, growing over time. And let me tell you about the magic of compound interest. You see, a lot of people, if you ask them, well, how much money will you have if you invest $67,000 a month over 10 straight years? Well, what they're going to do is a lot of people are going to take 160 67,000 multiplied by 120 months, right? That's 10 years. They're going to say, oh yeah, man, you have $8 million. That's amazing. But what they're not factoring in is the power of compound interest. The fact that money grows on top of money, which grows on top of money. Money grows like the way a virus grows, right? You ever think about a virus? A virus could be spread amongst 4 people, but then those 4 people might each infect 4 people, and then those 4 people may infect 4 more people. Next thing you know, 100 million people have the same virus that started with 4 people. Money grows like that. Money grows in a very natural, like viral sense. That's why a lot of our financial equations that we studied in school are built actually on biology and the way things grow in nature. So money grows on top of money. So actually, instead of that 67,000 a month growing into $8 million that 67,000 a month will grow into over 12 million at an 8% rate of return. Now, if he's able to get a higher rate of return, which actually is not that hard to do, I usually get about 30 to 40% a year on my investments because I invest in .coms and I invest in companies where I see opportunities to flip money and make big money really fast. So you can actually, I mean, if you're a smart investor, you can make 20, 30, 40, 50% a year on your money. I put $5,000 into businesses that made me $250,000 in the next 2 years. So there's ways to make more, but let's assume that you're very conservative. You're only making about 8% on your money, six, something like that. Okay. Well, so you would have $12 million by the time you're done. Now, $12 million, that is enough money for you to live off for the rest of your life. That's the kind of money that you could put in a trust fund. Give yourself a nice salary. Give yourself $500,000 a year, $700,000 a year, whatever. Add that to your NBA pension on top of that, and still live like a baller for the rest of your life. You don't have to go broke. Just because you want to spend a little bit of money. That's the thing. People think that you have to be financially frugal and prudent in order to build wealth. You don't have to do that. You just have to have balance. You have to not be so determined to throw all your money away. And that's one of the things that I don't understand. I really wish that there was some mechanism where these guys could really get the kind of advice they need to get, because whoever's advising these guys is screwing them. A lot of these people, they'll take their little fee off the top and they don't care what happens to your black. But once your NBA career is over, they're going to take their money. They're going to take that money. They're going to build wealth for their family. They're going to build generational wealth. They're sending their kids to Harvard. They're making sure their daughter has her wedding paid for. They're making sure their son has his first down payment on a house. They're making sure their kids aren't going to have to go $100,000 in debt to go to college. They're making sure that each generation in their family is not starting over. So when you look at Vin Baker, the tragedy here is that his children and his grandchildren and his great grandchildren will have to start over. That is sick. That is sad. I'm very sorry that the brother had the substance abuse problem. That's another way to lose a whole lot of money, is to get hooked on drugs and alcohol. That's why I suggest every black man in America should say no to drugs and alcohol. Tell your children, say no to it. We live in a country that encourages you to use drugs. A lot of the biggest drug dealers are actually legalized pharmaceutical companies. And also alcohol is a deep part of American culture. In 1836, the average American drank the equivalent of about 83 bottles of whiskey every year. America is a country of drunks. And they make a lot of money by making you think that alcohol is safe, when actually alcohol destroys a lot of lives. Vin Baker is a great example of that. He talks very regularly about his alcohol addiction and what that did to him, how it destroyed his life. So, long story short, when you get this money, just be smart. You don't have to be a financial wizard. You don't have to be a budgetnista or incredibly frugal with your money. Just don't work so hard to destroy your wealth, because when you make that kind of money and you throw that money away, you're not just hurting yourself. You're hurting everybody who loves you. You're hurting everybody who could have benefited from your choices. You're hurting all of the thousands of children you could have educated by building a school. You're hurting all the hundreds of families you could have helped by building a business and building an institution that would employ black people. You're hurting all of your descendants who could have benefited from the massive amount of wealth that you could have built during your lifetime. So it ain't just about you, Vin, and you throwing away your money in your life. That's sad. That's a tragedy. Absolutely. It's about all the people who were affected. That's all I really want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. If you want to learn more, if you want to study and take my class, go to visit theblackwealthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time, because we're not just going to complain about racism. We're going to do something about it. All right, until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.